Welcome to Maxine Greene's 103rd birthday celebration and fundraiser. My name is Holly Fairbank, and along with other board members from the Maxine Greene Institute, we would like to invite you to participate in this celebration of what would have been Maxine's 103rd birthday on December 23rd. Every year, since the founding of the Institute, we have hosted a birthday fundraiser to support the work of the Institute in Maxine's name. Susan?
I'm Susan Thompson, also a board member of the Maxine Greene Institute. And this year we want to share with you, in celebration of Maxine's birthday, some of her favorite poetry and talk a bit about how these poems are foundational to her philosophy. All the poetry that we share with you today can be found excerpted in her book, Variations on a Blue Guitar. Though Maxine wrote movingly about the performing and visual arts, I believe that poetry was her own personal art form. Poetic language could express images and multiple meanings in different ways from prose. As a dancer and choreographer, I've always felt that poetry and dance had a particular affinity. Both are a distillation or a condensation of words or movement, going beyond the literal or logical. Maxine agreed with this connection, and both of us were especially intrigued by Elizabeth Bishop's poem, One Art. One Art. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost, that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day, except the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch, and look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I miss them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love, I shan't have lied. It's evident that the art of losing's not too hard to master, though it may look like, write it, a disaster. I created a dance solo for Maxine's literature class at Lincoln Center's summer aesthetic education session, in which I moved and spoke the words of this poem. Maxine wrote about the layering of words and movement. She noted how the poem and the movement had their origin in concrete and everyday losses, lost keys, wasted time. The poem continues to abstract places and opportunities, and then on to cherished objects, my mother's watch, and then expands to cities, rivers, and continents. But beyond disaster is the loss of a particular beloved person. Perhaps the only way to master the loss is to write about it, she suggests, or perhaps to move, to dance through it. Maxine included Elizabeth Bishop's poems, I think, in Variations on the Blue Guitar for the theme of loss, and because it also shows the possibilities of engaging with a work of art in multiple ways: imagination, thought, the senses, emotion, all interwoven. Amanda?
I'm Amanda Gallo. I'm a writer and educator and board member of the Maxine Greene Institute. And Maxine often used images and lines from poems as reference points in her philosophical writings and lectures. One that she frequently returned to was Emily Dickinson's line, "The possible's slow fuse is lit by the imagination." This idea of the possible becomes revolutionary when used to argue for a vision of educational reform before an audience of school superintendents, as she did in 1999, as is documented in Variations on a Blue Guitar. The entire poem, although it's only 4 lines long, is expansive in its energy. The gleam of an heroic act, such strange illumination. the possible slow fuse is lit by the imagination. Yolanda?
Hello, everyone. My name is Yolanda Seeley Ruiz. I am an educator and a poet. Maxine Greene had a profound impact on me in the way that I see art making, and specifically the making of poetry. Her use of Wallace Stevens' The Man with the Blue Guitar is a beautiful example and makes quite plain the power of an unrestricted imagination. The man bent over his guitar, a shearsman of sorts. The day was green. They said, "You have a blue guitar. You do not play things as they are." The man replied, "Things as they are changed upon the blue guitar." And they said then, "But play you must, a tune beyond us, yet ourselves. A tune upon the blue guitar of things exactly as they are." That generation's dream aviled in the mud, in Monday's dirty light. That's it, the only dream they knew. Time in its final block, not time to come, a wrangling of two dreams. Here is the bread of time to come. Here is the actual stone. The bread will be our bread, the stone will be our bed, and we shall sleep by night. We shall not forget by day, except the moments when we choose to play the imagined pine, the imagined jay. You as you are, you as yourself, the blue guitar surprises you. Holly.
Beautiful. Maxine loved this poem by Mark Strand called "Keeping Things Whole." And she introduced it this way in Variations on a Blue Guitar. Spaces, presences, awarenesses, and the life of the imagination. These are what hold the promise of nurturing, humane, and alive education, even in these times. We are marvelously incomplete, she says. We move. Keeping things whole. In a field, I am the absence of field. This is always the case. Wherever I am what is missing. When I walk, I part the air, and always the air moves in to fill the spaces where my body's been. We all have reasons for moving. I move to keep things whole. This speaks to me personally because I am a dancer and am enchanted with the idea of parting the air as I move, but also from what I understand Maxine means by keeping things whole and always envisioning possibilities through and with the arts. Carol.
Hello, I'm Carol Saltz. I was Maxine's publisher and a friend for many decades, and I'm also a proud Maxine Greene Institute board member. And I'm going to be reading from Adrienne Rich's Transcendental Etude, which is the final poem in her collection, The Dream of a Common Language. In Variations, Maxine highlights a passage, but there come times, perhaps this is one of them, when we have to take ourselves more seriously or die, when we have to pull back from the incantations, rhythms we've moved to thoughtlessly and disenthrall ourselves, bestow ourselves to silence or a severer listening, cleansed of oratory formulas, choruses, laments, static crowding the wires. For Rich, the common language is a language that wrests from men ownership of words and the dominion such ownership bestows over everything. With that, a whole new poetry is beginning here. Women are the speakers, and it is their history she retells. She reclaims language itself for half the world, and in so doing, she remakes the world. Maxine used dream frequently to teach, understanding as she did the critical importance to educators of finding a way for us to talk to each other without excluding some. She also understood that this is not enough. We cannot smooth the edges of our conversations so carefully that our individual experience gets lost in the banal, loses its specificity, its peculiarity, its selfness. To remove the uniqueness of our own or another's experience is to homogenize it out of existence, to make it invisible. And so the problem becomes how to communicate, how to share experience, making it available to others, and conversely, how to receive the experience of others without appropriating it exploitatively. Maxine understood that the idea requires a leap of faith, such as an artist makes in creating a work of art. From what is shared, we learn, and from what is learned, we comprehend what is common to the human experience and what is not. These are questions that Maxine raised again and again, turning and overturning the answers. Maxine's ideas and the art she points us to, if we pay close attention, do not grow stale. I know she's gone and I miss her, but probably at least once a day, I wonder what she would think of something I read or saw or heard. She manages to stay very present. When she turns to transcendental etude, Maxine references Dewey. It is, Dewey says, one of the functions of art to break through the crusts and routine, to awaken us and enhance our being in the world. And then Maxine adds, aware encounters with art forms from either the creative or the appreciative point of view are what makes all sorts of awakenings possible. For Rich and for Maxine, I believe, this is where we need to get to. We can awaken to understanding of another, of each other, of ourselves, of pain, of hunger, of goodness, of beauty, of mercy, of justice. We can transform the world with these awakenings. So let me read you a bit more of the Transcendental Etude. It's a long poem, too long to read in full. So I've excerpted passages, but hope you will read the whole poem. It is achingly beautiful and deserves to be read in full and then wondered about. I've sat on a stone fence above a great soft sloping field of musing heifers, a farmstead slanting its plains calmly in the calm light. A dead elm raising bleached arms above a green so dense with life, minute, momentary life, slugs, moles, pheasants, gnats, spiders, moths, hummingbirds, groundhogs, butterflies. A lifetime is too narrow to understand it all. No one ever told us we had to study our lives, make of our lives a study, as if learning natural history or music, that we should begin with the simple exercises first and slowly go on trying the hard ones, practicing till strength and accuracy become one with the daring to leap into transcendence. Take the chance of breaking down the wild arpeggio or faulting the full sentence of the fugue. And in fact, we can't live like that. We take on everything at once before we've even begun to read or mark time. We're forced to begin in the midst of the hard movement, the one already sounding as we are born. But there come times, perhaps this is one of them, when we have to take ourselves more seriously or die, when we have to pull back from the incantations, rhythms we've moved to thoughtlessly and disenthrall ourselves, bestow ourselves to silence or a severer listening. Cleansed of oratory, formula, choruses, lament, static, crowding the wire, we cut the wires, find ourselves in free fall, as if our true home were the unidimensional solitudes, the rift in the great nebula. No one who survives to speak new language has avoided this, the cutting away of an old force that held her rooted to an old ground, the pitch of utter loneliness, where she herself and all creation seem equally dispersed, weightless, hers being a cry to which no echo comes or can ever come. Amanda?
When I was asked to write a poem for a memorial celebration of Maxine's life, I decided to approach it by assembling some of the threads found throughout the lectures and variations on a blue guitar into a single poem. In this process, I noticed that the backbone of so many of Maxine's arguments could be found in the poems that she loved. This is The Questions Have Been Coming, a poem for Maxine Greene in her own words. This is the starting point, allowing illumination to occur, the discovery of new vistas. Break through the cotton wool of daily passivity and come awake to the colored, sounding, problematic world. Make possible the living of lyrical moments. Seek out connections, identify possibilities, go in quest of meanings. Give off a kind of light. Perceiving is the beginning, the ground, a shifting arrangement of sensory images. But there's more, because we know more. We are seeing and learning more. Take a risk of going deeper and deeper to gain a sense of what lies beyond. Consciousness of the mystery opening doors. A means of empowering. Look with new eyes, hear with new ears. Become something you have not been before. Use your imagination to break with the routine and the useful and the conventional. Enter into a magical space. This is the learning that goes beyond teaching, permeated by wonder, studded by moments of questioning, always with the sense that there is something out there, something worthwhile beyond. There's terrible passivity and carelessness to overcome. Art is a game played against chaos and death. Pay heed to the shadows. Learn how to listen. You have to be fully present. Learn how to move, attend to movement. Look for embodied meanings. The meanings that may be released in the course of an encounter cannot be spelled out in words. They cannot be packaged or neatly summarized. Arguments, as you well know, come to conclusions. Works of art do not. Susan?
We hope this has helped to invite you into some of Maxine's favorite poems and hear how they lend foundation to her philosophy of education and the arts. Holly?
Thank you all. That was inspiring to hear you speak those poems. Thank you for joining us, listeners, and please consider supporting this institute with a contribution in Maxine's name in any denomination. We might suggest an amount reflective of this 103rd birthday, maybe $103, $10.30, or $1,000.30, and so forth. Now let's celebrate Maxine's birthday. Happy birthday, Maxine.
Happy birthday, Maxine.
Thank you, Maxine. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Maxine.
Happy birthday, Maxine.
Thank you.